Bitcoin dominance just slipped to 59.5%, while ETH pops 2%. Powell speaks in 48 hours. Alt season breakout or Fed-driven rug pull. Are you ready? Welcome to your daily 5-minute crypto brief with Satoshi and Nova. Today is August 20th, 2025. I am Nova.
I am Satoshi.
And it nudged up maybe 0.7%, sitting around $113,600. But Ether, now that was interesting, jumped over 2% to roughly $4,170, definitely outpacing Bitcoin. And other big alts like Binance Coin, Solana, XRP, they were up too, 1-2%. Even meme tokens saw a little lift.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating, I think, is Bitcoin's dominance. It's actually slipped now at a 6-month low, around 59.5% of the total market value. That's quite telling. It suggests the market's maybe maturing a bit, looking beyond just Bitcoin. And you mentioned the overall altcoin market cap has surged something like 50% since July. That's fueling all this talk of an altcoin season. You know, Coinbase's institutional research team even put out a note saying conditions kind of look like past setups for alt rallies.
So more confidence, maybe? People willing to take on a bit more risk with assets other than Bitcoin?
Seems like it. Growing confidence in those, let's say, higher risk crypto assets.
So connecting this to the bigger picture, macro forces are still a huge factor, right? Everyone's waiting for Jerome Powell's speech at Jackson Hole. That's always a big one for policy signals. Any hint of being hawkish, tighter money could really shake things up, couldn't it?
Absolutely. And it raises that key question. Just how sensitive are digital assets to monetary policy changes? We've already seen traders pull back a bit on expecting a rate cut in September. Plus, you've got a strong U.S. dollar right now, near multi-month highs. That makes crypto more expensive for buyers outside the U.S. And on the regulatory side, there's this interesting pushback. A big group of global finance associations, the IF included, they're asking regulators to rethink those strict new bank capital rules for crypto. They're saying the Basel Committee's 2026 standards are, well, overly conservative. They've even asked for a temporary stop on that 12,250% risk weight.
Wow, 1,250%. That basically makes it almost impossible for banks to hold crypto, doesn't it? Is the industry saying it's basically designed to block them?
That seems to be the argument, yeah. It's a really coordinated pushback against what they see as rules that are just too restrictive. But while that's happening, domestically, we saw something different. Fed Governor Michelle Bowman actually suggested maybe Fed staff should be allowed to hold small amounts of crypto. Kind of a learning by doing idea, she called it, to help them understand the market better for making rules.
That is a notable shift from inside the Fed, no less. Suggests a more practical way of looking at it.
Exactly. And you see the private sector getting smarter on regulation, too. Look at Tether, the USDT issuer. They just hired Bo Hines. He's a former White House crypto advisor, helped with that genius act for stablecoins. Hiring him looks like Tether expects clearer rules coming and wants to be ready for U.S. expansion.
Strategic move. Okay, and internationally. Seeing some interesting adoption stories, too.
Yeah, definitely. In Japan, a fintech startup, JPYC, got the green light to issue the first yen-pegged stablecoin there, fully backed 1.1 convertible. And Thailand, they launched this pilot program 18 months long. Foreign tourists can convert crypto into Thai baht for spending locally.
Oh, interesting, like for hotels and food.
Exactly. There's a cap, around $17,000, probably to manage risks like money laundering, but it's aimed at boosting tourism. Creative stuff.
Okay, so lots happening. Looking ahead then, what are the key things to watch? Powell's speech is obviously top of the list.
Absolutely. That Jackson Hole speech at the end of the week, hawkish or dovish, it could definitely spark some volatility. Also, keep an eye on the SEC. They just officially delayed decisions on a bunch of spot crypto ETF proposals, pushed the deadlines into October now. That includes things like the True Social, Bitcoin, and Ethereum Trust, some Solana funds, the 21 shares XRP Trust. So potential catalysts are now looking more like Q4.
Right, kicking the can down the road a bit. And what about legislation? Any movement there?
Well, on Capitol Hill, there seems to be some bipartisan support growing for the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act. That's the one trying to clearly define which cryptos are commodities, which are securities. If that makes progress, it could really impact the U.S. market structure, investor protection, the works.
Got it. So, final thoughts. Alt season, maybe, but tread carefully.
Yeah, I think that sums it up. That rotation at altcoins suggests an alt season could pick up speed, but you always have to remember smaller coins mean higher volatility.
Yeah.
So diversification, maybe some stop-loss strategies, those are still wise. Crypto's still really sensitive to outside shocks, like the dollar getting stronger or, geopolitical events. So wrapping up, what really stands out, I'd say the market's cautiously positive. You've got this altcoin buzz, some surprisingly okay regulatory signals here and there. but still walking on eggshells around the macro stuff.
Yeah, definitely a balancing act. The path to wider adoption, it's clearly going to have these twists and turns, optimism versus managing risk. And as we finish this deep dive, maybe something to think about is how all these different global approaches, Japan's stablecoin, Thailand's tourism tests, even the Fed's learning by doing, how they might all shape where this industry heads next. It really feels like a global experiment playing out in real time.
You've seen the crypto headlines. Now get the signals that impact your holdings. Money.ai scans 1.3 million signals a day, from token prices to Twitter sentiment, and gives you one personalized briefing. No hype, no noise, just your crypto edge. Download Money.ai. Stay ahead.